Welcome to my 400-day check-in with No Nicotine. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing, what has changed throughout the journey of this 400 days without nicotine. So getting right into it. If this is your first time on my channel, then welcome. Welcome to my returning viewers and those of you that are supporters as well. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all your continuous support. And when it comes to being on the journey of 400 days without nicotine, mentally, when I used to be addicted to nicotine, I would think about nicotine all the time. I would be consumed by nicotine. Nicotine was my way to mentally deal with things that ever happened to mentally stress me out. Things that I thought were challenging when it comes to mentally. That mindset of, and that creating of that mindset and pattern of depending on the nicotine for, let's say, dealing with stress or helping you to get other tasks done, you have to be mindful of the fact of, okay, maybe that's something that's a perceived benefit, but what are the other things that this behavior entails? What else about this behavior is this behavior causing to affect and having a cause or effect on? So mentally, you can't become that dependent on substances, and this goes for anyone talking about any substance. Whenever it comes to mentally, no music, what's going on? All right, anyways, when talking about the mental state of being, and once you quit nicotine, once you stop using nicotine, all those thoughts go away. Those thoughts of, oh, I want to continuously use nicotine, or I want to continuously use this substance. All of those cease to exist, and they cease to exist almost right away. So use that as motivation to realize that as soon as I stop, I'm going to have that mental space. I'm going to have that mental clarity. I'm going to be experiencing that mental freedom. Almost instantaneously as you quit. So allow that to mentally motivate you to do something about it, because, really, you're going to be experiencing less and less of those thoughts when it comes to mentally. You're not going to be thinking about it in the long run when it comes to your journey through detaching from nicotine or through detaching from any substance. Sure, you'll have the thoughts of, oh, why can't I just go back to it now that I've gone such a long time without it? Now won't I be able to implement moderation and whatnot? And that is up to you. That's up to oneself to make that decision and to realize that, yes, there's that ability that you have now to not allow this to affect you when it comes to mentally. Don't allow it to have that power over you when it comes to controlling you in a mental aspect. And you will, like I said, on this journey, even if you are absolutely set on not going back to it, because you realize that once you quit, you're in a much better space and you're living a much better experience, then, like I said, you will get over each and every thought and each and every challenge when it comes to mentally your path on quitting nicotine or quitting whatever substance you're trying to get rid of. You will gain that mental strength to literally overcome it and not actually experience, oh, when am I gonna use nicotine again? Because a lot of times, or all that time that you've gone without it, you look at it, stack it up against the time that you did do it, and say, okay, Do I want to go back to that? Thinking about it when it comes to mentally. How is the nicotine or said substance helping me in a way when it comes to mentally? How is this substance helping me in a way when it comes to physically? How is this substance helping me in a way when it comes to emotionally? How is this substance helping me in a way when it comes to my spiritual state of being? And if you can't find, let's say, the correct starting points of why you do and why you're making that decision of, okay, this is what it does, this is why I do it, I'm okay with doing this and whatnot, you gotta make sure that if you are one that values your state of being, then you gotta make sure you keep yourself in check. And for me, mentally, I continuously had, prior to stopping, just thoughts of that, I can do this, I'm striving towards quitting. And once you start to have those thoughts like on a more and more consistent basis, that will be what really prepares you mentally to finally make that detachment, make that decision to eliminate this from your experience, whether that be for good, whether that be for a specific amount of time, whether that be for an unspecific amount of time. You will get ready to detach from that and know that you're pretty much ready by you'll consistently be thinking about, I'm ready to give this up. This isn't doing anything for me anymore. I actually don't enjoy the way that this substance makes me think, or the space that I'm in mentally when it comes to thinking in that space mentally that this substance has an effect on. Getting to those realizations will help you when it comes to mentally moving forward from that substance. And a lot is, what you do and what you're surrounded with, and the mental aspect of stimulating your mind with a substance is primarily an addictive quality that anyone can become subject to, I think. And so realizing that you're going to be finding mental stimulation with other things than a substance that you're, addicted to, or that you have this attachment to, that maybe you are supplying, but you might not want to actually be doing that. So what's the point if you don't actually enjoy what you're doing, and you're just doing it to do it, not even mentally thinking about it anymore, or having getting into that mental space of being like, is this right for me? Questioning, or really holding yourself accountable mentally with your actions, the way that you feel, and also the space that you're in your life, and the path that you're on in your life. But mentally, I would say that after 400 days without nicotine, and not just because it's, I hit 400 days, everything's great now. No, I consistently have challenges, just like everyone will. And you'll realize that too eventually, like, regardless of if I have this substance or not, I'm always going to be experiencing that energy and motion, and it's up to me to be able to essentially deal with that, or coexist in that space when it comes to, like, let's say emotionally. And you're going to be dealing with that regardless of if you have that substance with you or not. So you'll come to realize that, okay, let's see how this goes. I'm going to go without it. I'm going to see how is this going to benefit me mentally? How is it going to benefit me physically, spiritually, and emotionally? think about how it will benefit you, and therefore you'll have, mental clarity. You'll be looking forward to quitting when it comes to mentally, because you'll actually have something to look forward to rather than the same patterns that you're used to on a day-to-day basis. And if you think that you can't, then that's definitely not true, because you started that activity in the first place and you have the power to end it. So you have to make that hard decision. You have to do what's right for your state of beings in order to move forward in the life that you're living in. So I encourage those of you on your path to keep on, marching forward, regardless of what's in your way. Continue on forward, being as strong as you can be when it comes to mentally, as strong as you can be physically, as fit physically, and also as emotionally balanced and physically balanced and mentally balanced, and valuing your spiritual state of being, of course. Being true to oneself as well is important, and that is something that has been as well something that, being true to myself, I had to detach from a lot of things, like, let's say, the mental stimulation, like I said, or the mental stigma around nicotine or around vaping or whatnot. And just the fact that you are going to be strong enough to detach from that is going to be something that you're going to be like, wow, I feel accomplished mentally. I'm going to continue on pushing on and continue on using my mental state of being towards doing things that are right, not things that are the wrong thing to do. And I get it, right and wrong may be up for perception, it may be up in the air, but for most people know what is, by using their intuition, what is the right thing for them physically, what is the right thing for them mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So yeah, mentally, I'm in a state when it comes to mentally where I choose to talk about nicotine. I choose to think about nicotine. I choose to bring it up and share these topics. And through that, I'm able to continue moving forward, continue on experiencing mentally and learning and growing when it comes to my mental state of being. Whereas, had I not, I would have just been, who knows what I would be doing now. Who knows what state of mind I would be in when it comes to mentally. And check in with yourself when it comes to mentally, regardless of if you are using a substance or not. Check in with yourself mentally so you'll be able to realize what is the right thing for you to do. I just posted something today on my community feed that I think if you're going through a time of high resistance that you should see. Not feed, but it's on my community page on my channel. So check that out. It's the most recent one. It's just for, some advice for anyone going through a time of high resistance. Yeah, mentally checking in with yourself will for sure benefit one when moving forward through the challenges that one may experience in life. I'm gonna go fill up my water, so take a quick intermission. Alright, I don't want to keep you all waiting that long. So getting into physically. Physically, I think that most will benefit from going without nicotine, and that's just if you know that you can avoid anything down the road when it comes to your lungs, when it comes to your physical health. If you can do what you can to eliminate any risks, anything about the behavior that you are in when it comes to physically and how that's gonna, let's say, negatively impact your health down the road, then why wouldn't you do something about it? Why wouldn't you make the decisions, the right decisions for your physical state of being that are going to lead you towards longevity, thus allowing you to be in better health, allowing you to not be using your valuable resources like your body. That's like the most valuable resource that we have. Well, when we talk physically, of course, the mind and the spirit and like our heart, but that's physically, or what we feel, our emotions, emotionally. So basically preserving the physical state of being is motivation enough to, for me, was stop nicotine, but for you, that can be anything, whatever you want to do when it comes to physically taking care of your physical state of being. You know, so you gotta think, like, if I continue on this use of, let's say it's not just nicotine, any substance that you could be using, if I continue down this path when it comes to physically, will this help me? Will this benefit me? Am I valuing my physical state of well-being? And if not, what steps do I need to take in order to go into that direction of physically taking care of that state of being? So, if you're in surroundings where you're surrounded by, let's say, nicotine or anything like that, you have no excuse. You can't blame the external for your own actions. Of course, maybe you're being influenced by that. Well, that should just go to show that you're being influenced not only physically, but mentally. It's starting at mental, and it's leading into physically, and you're also being influenced emotionally, not only by that said substance, but by your connection that you have with others that are also involved in this substance if you do it. You know, so, and not only that, but one would say you're being influenced off of your spiritual path just because you're destroying your physical body. So who knows what that will do to your spirit when it comes to how can that affect your body. And if you're involved in negatively affecting your body and you're just okay with it, then you gotta think about the deeper consequences of your actions and how that's gonna affect you. So for me, when I quit, I realized that I didn't ever need any substance, and to this day, I'm continuing to realize that. really all you need is the essentials for life. Of course, there's things that we do, things that we involve ourselves with, like compounds, substances, what other people refer to as drugs, certain behaviors, certain actions that are looked at as in certain ways. Um, there's all these things, and you'll come to realize that physically there's always going to be something that you physically want to do, or that you have the desire to do when it comes to physically. But as of on my journey, checking in after 400 days, it's like, yes, at the same time, not only on this journey am I like getting over all that stuff, all that use that you get over, all that use that you detach from, and that you put in time of going without to therefore outweigh it. And you know, it's a challenge doing that. So think about how that there's also this kind of projection or energy of society or whatnot, where they want you to validate you and pursuing your desires. So validating you pursuing your desires is something that's going on the planet. And yeah, sure, these desires are not the worst thing ever, or something that should be eliminated from life, because your desire to live is something that is a good desire. The desire that your parents had when they conceived you was the reason why you're here. So that was desire, the reason why that got you here. So it's not to say, oh, desires are bad, that's the devil, that's the worst. It's about not allowing your desires to control you. And when you live in a society or a world aspect, or some parts and limited hangouts of society and expanded hangouts of society are geared towards telling you to validate the pursuit of your desires, is another challenge as well. So it just is pushing you and motivating you to physically make the change and physically change your reality to what it is you desire. Like I said, if you desire to do certain things, realize that, okay, I'm desiring this, but if I continue to get lost in this desire, it could be affecting me physically in this way. And then therefore you'll know how to change that behavior and how to implement a new behavior in order to better value your state of well-being when it comes to physically.
To a piece of tech that I've been using actually for a while. So you might have heard of Eat Sleep. They're kind of blowing up recently. The main thing they make is a temperature controlled bed. So it can be nice and crisp and cool when you first climb into bed, and then nice and warm in the morning and make it easier to get out of bed. So it wraps around your current mattress. It's called a pod cover. Pretty cool to have a piece of tech that actually helps us sleep better. At least helps me anyway. You can try it too if you want to. I definitely think this qualifies as dope. I picked the software engineering program because they pay very well. It's a fast-paced industry. The bootcamp allowed me to keep my job, honestly, and continue working. My end goal is to be able to live in a cool city and have enough money to do fun things and enjoy my life.
Yo, of course an ad went off as I leave the room. I think ads are what have been giving me copyright on my videos, but yeah, that sucks that I literally came back, or I left as soon as an ad popped up. But anyways, YouTube, if you're listening, that's your own ad right there. So, and what I'm playing right now is no copyright. So I don't want to see a copyright on this video. You know, unless that's somewhere hidden in the terms of conditions and whatnot. But anyways, back to what we were getting into, and emotionally, what do you want to feel about yourself? Do you want to feel confident about yourself? Do you want to feel as if you're dependent on something, dependent on a substance? Let's say dependent on nicotine. I can tell you right now that I lived that way for a while, and it didn't go anywhere. It led nowhere to other than experiencing more and more times of being dependent when it comes to emotionally. Whether that be to substances, people, places, or things. When I quit nicotine, I was able to emotionally mature, emotionally be independent in a way where, of course, I was still responsible for my own emotions, as everyone knows they are. But then having quit nicotine, I'm able to distance myself and be emotionally, independent. And that just means maybe being more in the moment. That's being emotionally independent from being dependent on things emotionally to maybe fulfill yourself, to feel good on a daily basis. What good is, and then another thing, realization is, what good is feeling good if you feeling good comes at the cost of others feeling bad? So let me say it again. What good is feeling good when you feeling good comes at the cost of others feeling bad? That's a recipe for toxicity. That's a recipe for being emotionally imbalanced and not being able to find that emotional stability and be emotionally fulfilled by solely being yourself, being mentally stable, being physically taken care of, being in the right space physically, being in an emotional state of strength, emotional state of positivity or whatnot, being in as well a spiritual space and a spiritual path that you see is right for you. So yeah, basically feeling true to yourself has came from, for me, detaching from nicotine and realizing that I was emotionally a little, not necessarily that's the only thing that made me feel good, but primarily the nicotine was such an addictive process and so really fulfilling. Honestly, the way I viewed it, so very fulfilling when it came to emotionally and the way it made me feel, because it just makes you feel good. It makes you feel great. You've never felt better, supposedly, than when you're on nicotine. And of course, then it goes away and you feel like shit and you need to take it again. So that's just a reminder that emotionally there are more emotions to experience other than just the ones that you are deriving from and receiving from. Unfortunately, could be negative actions or could be affecting you in a negative way. So we got to be aware of that and push ourselves to emotionally grow, emotionally mature, and not be in that space of, oh, I want this right now. If I don't have it, nothing's gonna go well. I'm gonna feel like shit for the rest. And don't let it get to you like that, because as long as you are emotionally strong for yourself and you're emotionally stable, you have that emotional balance with yourself, therefore then you can deal with others in a way where There's no, let's say, toxicity or emotional strife, drama, whatnot, whatever you want to call it. You guys know what I'm talking about. So a lot of that has just really dissolved. It's ceased to exist in my reality when it comes to the emotions that I deal with. Like I said, when you previously are in an addiction, you can experience feelings of grief, sorrow, regret, guilt, shame, whatever it may be. You may only want to use that substance, only maybe want to use that nicotine to cover up the way that you truly feel. So don't actually do that. Make sure you are embracing the way that you feel. And if the nicotine or said substance or whatever action is getting in the way of that, and you being true to the way that you feel, then pay attention and, check in with yourself, check into your emotional state of being, and realize, okay, what do I need to do? What's toxically or affecting me emotionally where it's creating me to be experiencing toxic emotions or experiencing these uncomfortable emotions or whatnot, which you're never truly going to be fully comfortable all the time. Like there's that phrase, be comfortable being uncomfortable. So that phrase just goes to say, uncomfort is certain because things are always changing, and that's a constant, and that's a certain thing as well. So being able to travel the distance, per se. After 400 days, of course I thought about how would I feel if I've thought, how does it make me feel when I think in my mind, what would it be like if I went and go and get a vape? And it's nothing like, excitement or that I'm looking forward to anything like that. I still remember everything, and as if I can feel each time that I use the nicotine, or the times that, were challenging when I was amongst my nicotine addiction, and where I realized that emotionally that nicotine never helped me. All it did was help to cover up the emotions that I was truly feeling, and therefore be able to just move along because, let's just move along to this. Let's experience this. Let's feel great all the time. Let's continue using no matter what without even taking a break. I think that for moderation, an effect of that is you being able to find more emotional balance and being able to be fulfilled emotionally and emotionally stimulated more into the moment, more into things in life that are getting you gratification outside of negative actions, toxic actions, things that can possibly take away from you. Therefore, eliminating those things, then you have more abundance in life. Like I said, always gonna experience emotions, highs and lows. And with that in mind, start to do things that are gonna put you in an emotional state of balance, an emotional state of stability. I mean, that's where I think all of us should be geared towards as one of our goals each and every day, to continuously be balanced in our states of beings, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's to be strived for. It is to be strived for. Thank you if you've been watching the whole time and you've made it to this point in the video. Make sure you show some support.